don't know. I think Asmongold is actually one of the bigger threats on streaming platforms right now, largely because his viewership is huge. Yeah, he at one point had 283,753 viewers. That's crazy. Yeah, he has an average viewership of 330 so not 300, 33,000 people. That's a lot, guys. That's a fuck ton. If you look at like most of the videos he puts out on his YouTube, it's crazy. Like just looking at a video he put up 23 hours ago, it's 412,000 views. A video from a day ago, over 1 million. You know, like the thing is, he does a lot of gaming centric content, but in between the gaming, he does politics. And he has a video from a day ago titled Trump is consistent as fuck. Like, this guy, in order to understand why I find him so insidious, this guy literally goes and does Holocaust revisionism on his streams and in his videos. He tells people that like parts of the Holocaust didn't happen or were overblown. He's just asking questions. And let me tell you guys, when you've gotten to the just asking questions portion of being a streamer and talking about the Holocaust, you are already fucking cooked, dog. You are already like mainlining that Nazi propaganda. Okay?
This is an abs.
Yeah, like, guys, this is a 10-minute long video, all right? From 10 days ago. Over 1 million views. Over 1 million views. Also, Toph the Goblin, thank you for the 10 memberships over on YouTube. I appreciate that. Immensely, immensely, immensely.
Absolute rock bottom moment for the legacy media. According to Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan, the Holocaust happened because of genocidal Nazi regime, which defined totalitarian for the 20th century, allowed too much free speech. This is a crazy exchange. Does media really think the Holocaust was caused by free speech? Fuck it, we'll take a risk. We'll watch this. There's a lot of people talking about it. I'm actually really curious what this is.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
That's not true. There were other political parties. They just killed all of the political parties. And by the way, guys, the reason the CBS host is saying what she's saying is because Nazi propaganda and censorship, according to the Holocaust Encyclopedia. When the Nazis came to power in 1933, the German Constitution guaranteed freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Huh. starting in 1934, it was illegal to criticize the Nazi government. Even telling a joke about Hitler was considered treachery. And it turns out one of the things Nazis did was, on their ascent to power, proclaimed their belief in free speech. And then the second they got in power, they censored everything that they disagreed with. Does it sound familiar? A playbook we might be seeing unfolding right before our eyes now, perhaps.
Well, he was
I've got to listen to this again.
standing in a country where free speech was.
Where's the longer form version of this? There's got to be, like, where this
Where's the longer form video of this? It's not like I'm just gonna continue scrolling through Twitter. It's not like I could Google "face the nation," something that is on the screen in each one of these, to find the original video. I'm just gonna continue scrolling through instead of, going to the goddamn fucking YouTube channel and taking a look. Oh, God. From 10 days ago? Do I have to dig it up? Maybe I do. Two weeks ago. All right. We overshot a little bit. Looking for little Marco Rubio. Little Marco. Little Marco. Where are you, little Marco? All right.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is in Jerusalem on the second leg of his
That not just now, but for 30 years. War, and if opportunities present themselves to further that, we're going to take them if they present themselves in Moscow and in Washington, D.C.
from within, and he lectured about what he described as censorship, mainly focusing, though, on including more views from the right. He also met with the leader of a far-right party known as the AfD, which, as you know, is under investigation and monitoring by German intelligence because of extremism. What did all of this accomplish other than irritating our allies?
Marco Rubio does not look good, Doug.
Why would our allies or anybody be irritated?
This man looks like he's being haunted by three ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future as we speak.
By free speech and by someone giving their opinion. We are, after all, democracies. The Munich Security Conference is largely a conference of democracies, in which one of the things that we appreciate the fact they have a right to say it and that you should listen to. Why anybody would be upset about it. People are allowed, against things like and I agree with him and all democracy.
Our allies.
Makes it our thing with someone's speech to at least appreciate the fact they have a right to say it and that you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you, the United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide.
So the clip that's been going around omits the preamble after the first question, which is, hey, our leaders are palling around with folks who, defend Nazism. And his response is free speech. And she's like, well, but like in Nazi Germany, like the rise of the Nazis was aided by their hiding behind the shield of free speech. And the second they got in power, they legislated against that same right. And he, of course, goes and takes it in like, how could you say that direction? Okay, we got the context.
This is crazy. Okay, this is a 3-minute one.
And so I think if anyone's angry about his work, they don't have to agree with him, but to be angry about it, I think actually makes his point. I thought it was actually a pretty historic speech, whether you agree with him or not. I think the valid points he's making to Europe is we are concerned that the true values that we share, the values that bind us together with Europe, are things like free speech and democracy and our shared history in winning 2 world wars and defeating Soviet communism and the like. These are the values that we shared in common. And in that Cold War, we fought against things like censorship and oppression and so forth. And when you see backsliding and you raise that, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could ask him such better questions about the the speech that JD Vance gave. That was literally ripping up all diplomatic relationships with Europe and saying you're on your own, fuckos, and then taking a massive shit on their dining room floor.
It's a very valid concern. We can't tell them how to run their countries. He simply expressed in a speech his view of it, which a lot of people frankly share. And I thought he said a lot of things in that speech that needed to be said. And honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset about it. People are allowed, you know.
There's a huge...
I don't know why anyone would be upset about the United States, the global hegemon and superpower, abandoning all of their allies and diplomatic relationships. Why would anyone be mad at that?
opposition party in the beginning. Yeah.
You don't have to agree with someone's speech. I happen to agree with a lot of what he said, but you don't have to agree with someone's speech to at least appreciate the fact they have a right to say it, and that you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you, the United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide.
Those eyebrows are doing a lot of work right now.
I was really hoping, so like the reason why I didn't want to watch the short clip is I was thinking to myself, there's no way, right? There's no way. This has got to be out of context. This is, but how is it? It's like that Kick streamer clip earlier, where it's like, no, not only is it out of context, but it's even worse.
In a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties.
She's doing a bad job of explaining this.
Yes, she is doing a bad job.
The best way to contextualize this is to say Nazis shout, peach, to deflect criticism and make themselves look like the victim. You can't let them leave looking like the peach side.
Exactly. Like that's kind of the problem, right? Like the framing, like the substance is not incorrect, but the framing of it is not helpful to the point she's trying to make. Yeah. I imagine that she's probably confined by some kind of producer in her ear or something about what she can say on the air. I at least I would hope that that's kind of one of the guiding reasons there, because yeah.
To extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews.
Yeah, that just manifested out of nowhere, right, Marco? Like the genocidal authoritarian regime just sprung from the earth, fully formed, in on May 10th of 1933, when the first book burnings began. You know, like, no, there was a process. And part of that process was assuming power, again, by hiding behind free speech protections in order for them to stoke up the hatred and bigotry against Jews. That was part of their rise to power. You need to be able to clearly articulate that, which she's
Quick
not doing a great job
clarification.
at.
is making jokes about Asmongold's general appearance. Body shaming. If Asmongold did it to his own body? Asking for a friend.
You know, probably, but I'm also just gonna say this about Asmongold. Why shame his body when you like literally every other aspect of his life is shameable? You know? Like shame rat clock. Shame the fucking roaches everywhere. Shame the fucking tooth wall he has. Shame his goddamn steaks. It's like, my god, it is awful. Gag inducing. Yeah, the blood wall. Sorry, King Kerplunk, I called it the tooth wall. It's called the blood wall. From, all the blood from his bleeding gums that he smears on the wall. God damn it. He's so gross.
Jews, and they hated minorities, and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany.
Oh, wait. Who else did they hate, little Marco? Little Marco Rubio. Who else did the Nazis hate? Not just the Jews. Who else?
Was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech and intolerance for opposing points of view within Europe. True. And that's of concern because that is eroding. That's not an erosion of your military capabilities. That's not an erosion of your economic standing. That's
the erosion that Marco Rubio is talking about and that Asmongold is like nodding along with is a reduced willingness to allow fascists open platforms. The same way a lot of platforms online don't allow you to just drop the N-word over and over and over and over again. You will get banned for that. In a similar way, you get banned from the public square in a lot of places in Europe for being an open fascist. And honestly, that's not a point against them. That's a point in their favor.
It's an erosion of the actual values that bind us together in this transatlantic union that everybody talks about. And
Little Marco's come a long way ever since 2016, hasn't he? He really has.
I think allies and friends and partners that have worked together.
Asmongold loves this shit. When people say he's not a big threat, this is literally exposing millions of impressionable youngsters to like absolutely fucking insane ideas.
How does Marco have a sunglass tan indoors?
Right? He looks really unwell.
Now for 80 years should be able to speak frankly to one another in open forums without being offended, insulted, or upset. And I spoke to foreign ministers from multiple countries throughout Europe. Many of them probably didn't like the speech or didn't agree with it, but they were continuing to engage with us on all sorts of issues that unite us. So again, at the end of the day, I think that people give that is a forum in which you're supposed to be inviting people to give speeches, not basically a chorus where everyone is saying the exact same thing. That's not always going to be the case when it's a collection of democracies where leaders have the right.
So they're criticizing JD's speech because he's advocating for free speech in
These
Europe?
are the same people who will fire you for having pronouns in your bio, telling you that you're anti-free speech for not coddling Nazis enough.
It's true, Nomi Sunrider, but also Asmongold is so incurious, right? That he's not even watching the JD Vance speech that this is about. And is like, well, I guess everyone's mad at JD Vance for advocating for free speech in Europe. And it's like, what? No. That's not why people are mad at JD Vance and mad at his speech. His speech was an announcement that the US is abandoning its allies in Europe. You're all on your own, kids. The silent generals in attendance were not silent because he was defending free speech. They were silent because of the massive geopolitical implications of the vice president announcing the intent to abandon them in the face of Russian aggression. How does he have such a high view count? Reactionary content. Full stop. It's reactionary content. It's he made out like a bandit on like this kind of resurgence of Gamergate-esque like videos and folks like what's his name, the guy who pissed in his basement and shat himself in a Walmart. You guys know who I'm talking about. I haven't talked about him in a while. The Quartering. Yeah, that guy. So yeah, Jeremy, the Quartering. Aquaball, I know, but y'all are gonna have to deal with it. Yeah, the Quartering shat himself in a Walmart and bragged about it in a podcast, and now it lives forever on the internet.
That's wow.
And the privilege to speak their minds in forums such as these.
Wow.
Mr. Secretary, I'm told that we are out of time.
I fucking bet. Yeah. I bet. Yeah, bro. Time's up.
She's doing a program with like a designated time slot for network television. This isn't like a live stream where she's like, cut to break. What are you doing, dog?
Oh my God. Jesus. No, obviously they're not criticizing for that. Sure seems like that. It sure seems like that's what she said. I mean, if that's not what it was, that then it could be something else, but it sure seems like that's what she said. Absolutely. Just imagine what people would have done in the U.S. if Kamala had won. I don't know, man. And she's running. Yeah, bro, we're out of time. That's insane.
And so I think if anyone's angry.
Oh, Jess, I hope your daughter, your goddaughter, or the daughter, feels better soon.
About his word, they don't have to agree with him, but to be in defeating Soviet communism and the like. These are the values that we shared in common, and in that Cold War we fought against.
Has he never watched the news? Dude has a blood wall. Do you think he watches the news?
Things like censorship and oppression and so forth. And when you see backsliding and you raise that, that's a very valid concern. We can't tell them how to run their countries. He simply expressed in a speech.
There have been a handful of Times articles that have criticized free speech. Well, the reason why media criticizes free speech is because free speech puts the media at risk. Because
No! Free speech is literally the bedrock of the press. What are you talking about, dog? Ow! This is what passes for conservative political commentary. And the thing is, this type of political commentary appeals specifically to young children who then grow up to be incurious like this man. One should see something and ask, I wonder why that is. I should maybe investigate that and do some analysis. Nope. None of that. None of that for Asmongold. No, sir.
free speech is a counterbalance to the media. The media wants themselves to be the arbiters of what's true and what's not, and
Literally.
I'm not built to suck your dick.
Dude. Stop. Stop. I pressed the wrong button on the soundboard.
Ah, the worms are back.
There
we go. The worms are back.
The brain worms are back, everyone. The dick sucking sound bite is on the button right next to the worm sound bite. That's my bad.
If ignorance is bliss, then Asmongold and the quartering must be the happiest people on earth.
One would think, but they seem miserable as fuck. You know, probably had something to do with the Quartering's white nationalist website not successfully taking off.
and if the population has free speech, then they can compromise the media. It's a power grab, really.
You don't understand the words that you're saying. You're like a child playing with a loaded gun, my dude. You don't understand what the words and phrases you have spilling out of your mouth actually mean. It's crazy. Free speech is a challenge to the media because free speech is actually a magical sword that you can pull out of your mouth. If you pull on your tongue hard enough, everyone, you can draw the sword of free speech and slay the chaos dragon that Elon Musk and Jordan B. Peterson are always talking about. Just believe. You could do anything.
It's not even ideological.
It's not even ideological, chat. What does it mean? I'm in trouble.
The next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
I need a crackhead to moderate this for me.
His speech was very unprofessional and left a bad taste. A lot of people lost faith in America after that, and that's a fact. Well, I don't know if I don't know how many other people I speak for, but I'm speaking for myself at least, is that if you lose faith in America because America is advocating for freedom of speech and freedom...
He hasn't seen the speech. He's advocating for this position without understanding a single thing about what happened in that speech, other than what other people told him, other than fucking hearsay, as if he couldn't just go and look up that speech on his stream.
expression, then
I need to do more Asmongold content, but honestly, it's cancerously stupid. I need to protect myself to some degree, but I need to cover more of this guy's shit because of how hollow and empty it is. And someone out there needs to be the one yelling about how this guy is just full of shit.
I didn't want your faith to begin with.
The thing is, Brianna Huffman, the thing is, this guy gets millions of views on his content. Millions of people consistently tune into this. And there needs to be some kind of pushback specifically on this guy.
It's not worth anything.
Because right now, he's so big and so popular that when you look him up, it's a bunch of people, you know, sucking his dick constantly. And you know what? I'm built different.
I'm not built to suck your dick.
There we go. Nailed it. We worked it in. We worked it in.
Go fuck yourself.
His view of it, which a lot of people frankly share.
Isn't he bigger than Hassan? Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And I thought he said a lot of things in that speech that needed to be said. And honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset about it. People are allowed, you know, you don't have to agree with someone's speech. I happen to agree with a lot of what he said, but you don't have to agree with someone's speech to at least appreciate the fact they have a right to say it, and that you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you, the United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide.
Why is he playing it again?
And he met
Are you getting something else out of this?
with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic
I'm
ties
irresponsible
to
with money and angry that people like you aren't as big as this spunk pincher. Have more money.
Brutus Magnuson, as am I. But you want to know something? You want to know something great? I am not as big as this guy, but I think I can make better content. Like this guy just sits on his ass and pulls talking points out of his ass without any kind of critical thought whatsoever. And like I get the same feeling watching him as what I got when I initially started streaming after I watched a Tim Pool video for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's boring as shit. This guy's boring as hell. This guy doesn't give a single shit about the quality of his content or the points he's trying to make or anything like that." I can do much more interesting content about things that are actually true. And I think that we're going
You
to be
need
bigger.
to dose content
We're
that's
gonna do
stupid
good.
very carefully, Jack.
It's true, Iron Feathers. I do need to dose that content very carefully because it is possible to overdose on brain rot. But I'm just here to tell you guys that I'm going to incorporate a little bit more of this in here because there.
Take my money, BWA.
Tinkerplunk, thank you for the $5 dono. I will not abide someone with millions of followers embracing like neo-Nazi defenses, like nah,
The
not on my
quartering
watch.
cost you to give us your best skincare advice ever. You don't have to look like a shambling corpse.
It's true, you
Also,
don't.
Americans have never thrown a tantrum when foreign leaders criticize us.
But yeah, it's true. Do skincare. You don't have to look like a shambling corpse, like the quartering. You know what? In fact, just real quick. How's Jeremy looking these days? Just pull up the quartering video.
Alex What's going on, everyone?
Just his most recent. We're not gonna watch this whole thing. I just want to check out the like where's his skincare at?
Jeremy here from the quartering, and
Holy fuck.
when the left
Holy fuck.
isn't melting down over Doge or I don't know, the wind, they're always obsessed with what
Dog, your camera can't focus
Joe Rogan
on
is
you.
doing. And the media is trying to, essentially prop up this wild narrative that, oh, Joe Rogan's not popular.
Dog.
Essentially prop up this wild narrative that, oh, Joe Rogan's not popular anymore because, he endorsed somebody
I just really want him to sit still for like a second so we can look at
we
his
don't
skin.
like and blah, 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 blah. Well, now.
There we go. Anyway, yeah, dog, okay? There's a product out there called Cetaphil, all right? It has like hyaluronic acid or something along those lines in it. It will help clear out the dead skin, okay? It will help make your face look like it hasn't been embalmed. And that's only gonna be I'm just giving you free advice here, dog. This is it is not improved. The skincare has not improved. Yeah, use like a cleanser. CeraVe makes very good cleansers. Maybe use like some Cetaphil for like the hyaluronic acid to kind of like clean up dead skin, etc. And then you're gonna want to use like maybe like some kind of body butter or body yogurt. Either one works really well to just like hydrate that skin. And I don't know. You can even get. I mean, you're a bit on the older side, Jeremy. You can start using those retinols. Okay, like You want to keep up that collagen production in your skin. Like you got to start using that, you know? Maybe like some hydrating serums. I don't know. Don't tell him body butter or he's just going to smear himself in actual butter.
Go fuck yourself.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Oh, God. I need a crackhead. I'm in trouble. Anyway.
Extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the sense...
Yeah, I know way too much about the right-wing lady who eats butter. I do, unfortunately, know way too much about Melanie Mack.
I have to disagree with you.
Specifically
that ugly-ass bitch.
About the right.
No, I have to disagree with you.
That's right, I said it.
Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily...
Yeah, who else? Who else, little Marco? Who was right next on that list?
The Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech.
Wow.
Why is a right-winger eating straight-up butter? Because Jordan Peterson popularized the carnivore diet, and so there are a bunch of people out there who just eat, like, meat and butter, and that's it. And one of them is a lady named Melanie Mack, someone who believed that drinking water made you weak, and as a result, wound up in the hospital several times because she got critically dehydrated. And also she's virulently homophobic and transphobic and is one of the like most disgusting people online. I don't know where you get the feeling that you have like a room to look down on folks when you're literally going to the emergency room for eating butter every day for a meal and not drinking enough water, but like all right.
Ah, the worms are back. Ah, the worms are back.
And those worms in her gut, eating that butter.
Wow. Like, how many of you guys learned that one of the big things that, like, Nazi Germany didn't like was, like, people being able to express themselves in freedom of speech? I feel like basically everybody learned that. Like, if there was anything that you learned about it, it was definitely that. I think she's trying to use the paradox of tolerance. Yeah, I think that I think she's trying to use emotional manipulation.
I think that you just changed the subject there because you don't know what the paradox of tolerance is. I think somebody said that to you and you checked out after hearing the word paradox and decided it was better to just change the subject.
Because I think that that's the only tool that these people have in order to maintain a power structure. I think that whenever logic is applied to it and the emotional manipulation is discarded, the entire premise of everything they believe falls apart. And
yeah, that's right. Because cold hard facts are definitely on the side of conservatives. You know, the people who don't believe climate change and have by far the largest contingent of people who believe the earth are flat, they're really concerned with the facts, guys. They're really concerned with facts and logic. You know, people like Asmongold real concerned with facts and logic, but isn't going to bother watching the speech that this entire conversation has been about, and instead opt to just believe something a rando told you in your chat or on Twitter. Are you fucking kidding me? God.
And I think that that's been made clear over and over. And I think that this definitely is going to, I feel like this moment could definitely be like one of those pivotal moments, especially with like media, where like people, like, I don't know how, I mean, maybe Elon Musk should hire the mainstream media to figure out physics, because apparently they know something that nobody else in the world does, which is how to divide your credibility, which is 0, in half. Because somehow they just keep managing to do that. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. How do you possibly do this? Wow. Status me, they're wizards. Yeah, they're wizards.
Man, if only he had actually watched or understood any other aspect of this conversation, you know? Like, imagine how much weight his words would carry if he'd actually watched the speech and actually understood what the speech was about, instead of just going off of what some rando said. Did you know that if you learn how to divide by 0, chat, you learn physics, apparently?
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say either, man. That I took actual damage from that. Anyway, you need to find people who rely on cold hard facts, or at the very least, find someone who knows how to be a Google debunker, all right?
Google debunkers.
You need to find a good old-fashioned Google debunker, bare minimum, when you're looking at your, like, news analysis figures, okay? Like, you know, at the very least, you need people who care enough about a topic to, like, dive into it a little bit more and Google debunk. But, like, even if you're not gonna get, like, higher level analysis than that, that at least shows the person you're watching can, you know, critically engage on some level with different events and topics. God. Google debunker is my new favorite word. Credit to Milo over on Mini Minute Man. Dude does great work. What can I say? Now, folks, we've been going for over 2 hours now. If you've been enjoying the show, please hit that follow button on Twitch. Hit that subscribe button